Hi all, we are group PG10 and our project is called InfluxDB No Code Interface. The team members include Tran, Hiramandu, Mars and myself Vinith. During this presentation, we will take you through our process, communication, requirements, test strategies and reflection regarding the project in general. So first of all, let's talk on Scrum Master. So during Sprint 1, we had Tran focused on setup of the project and architecture. Sprint 2 was led by Mars. He implemented InfluxDB integration and API connectivity. Sprint 3 was done when Hiramandu developed the dashboard and integration with Grafana. I led the Sprint 4 in building the hierarchy system for the organizations. Sprint 5 was again led by Hiramandu to care of the final testing, optimization and documentation. We met on Discord twice a week for 15 to 16 minutes and held retrospectives every other week. By constantly keeping each other updated, we were able to keep momentum going, resolve issues promptly, and make sure we weren't veering off course from the project goals. The requirements were obtained through group discussions, feedbacks from the supervisor, and studying available data visualization tools. The core features that we have focused on so far are connecting InfluxDB, the visualization of time series data, and drag and drop features. The new requirements emerged during development such as different hierarchies, tag assignments, and deeper integrations with Grafana. This entailed more testing and minor reprioritization of sprints, but those went well due to the product backlog. Our approach meant we could accommodate these requirement changes with easy and still maintain steady progress. Initially, our definition of done was quite basic. The feature is done when it has been coded and tested. As the project continued to develop, our DoD grew to encompass. We found a fully deployed and accessible web UI, data correctly visualized, pass all unit and integration tests, complete documentation, no high risk bugs were remaining. This shift reflected our growth from focusing on functionality to ensuring the quality and user readiness of it. By the final sprint, done meant that it was not only working but also stable and tested.
Hi, my name is Maz, and I'm going to be discussing about the tools and technologies that we've used. We used all these tools: GitHub, Jira, Visual Studio Code, InfluxDB, Grafana, Laravel, React, Postman, MySQL, Teams, and Docker, and Discord. GitHub and Jira helped us manage work clearly and keep track of commits and issues. We use Discord for communication. Influx and Grafana was the core of the project, and they were used for data store. Influx is used for data storage, and Grafana was used to generate dashboards. Laravel handled our backend, our API, and React was the front end. Postman was used to test our API, our backend directly, and MySQL stored user and project data. We use Docker to make containers for our systems, so it would be easier to set up across the whole team's devices. And Microsoft Teams was used for meetings with the client representative and discussions, problems, and possible solutions. We wanted to use Jenkins and automated testing, but setup was too tedious. But if we did have them, we could have tested faster and we could have deployed with fewer bugs.
Hello, my name is Hermanto, and I'll be talking about documentation standard as well as the testing strategy of this presentation. So, for the documentation standard of our project, we try to every time we try push like a feature or code, we include a short readme of like what was implemented, and also how do you use it, and that is the API documentation as well. API documentation contains how do you call the API that was implemented, and how do you structure the data so that you can post it and you can turn it and translate it into the front end side. That is the README and API documentation. As for the code comment and the weekly snapshot basically contain the progress of things. as well as the code comment are mainly used for like explaining certain logic in like certain section of the code where what is happening over here. So sometimes you do wanna look at someone's code and you don't know what's going on because there's no explanation, and that's the use of the code comments. So this documentation standard that we implemented is basically trying to replicate what could be or similar to the actual uh, environment uh, in like a team in like a company. This ensures basically if like a new developer comes in, new people comes in, they want to check or like try to like instantly work with the project. They can just refer to the README, the documentation and stuff to try and understand. This is basically standard for like most workplaces right now. So this ensure that they can start working as soon as possible and not like waste time understanding like the code itself, like wasting like maybe months trying to understand the code. So yeah, this is the documentation standard that we implemented. Um, the next thing that I want to talk about is the documentation gap itself. So we feel like we're lacking some sort of extra documentation from the Etsy side. We don't have a business analyst to like collect requirement, but we did have like bi-weekly meeting with the TA, right? But I don't feel like it's enough to be like clear enough to like know like what the client wants. I feel like instead we need a actual BA that knows his stuff and give us a proper functional documentation. Basically, uh, ensure that there's no confusion and what is the agreed upon feature and scope. So uh, that's the main like critical gaps that we feel that is need to be addressed for throughout the project. What we think that went well is probably the weekly snapshot, which we did. It basically led us to monitor like progress, which is good. Yeah, so basically that's the main part of this section of the slide. Next we'll be talking about the testing strategy. So for the testing strategy, what we try to implement is some sort of instead of automatic testing because automatic testing is supposed to be uh, before we actually started coding so that we plan the data structure of certain API beforehand so that when we did testing, we know that it passed because it follows certain structure. But we did not want to waste time implementing automated testing because our team is very small and there's only one, there's only me working on the backend. So I would just try to work it out myself. And what we did instead of automated testing is preparing a test case with Excel sheet where we write out all the possible test cases, whether it's the edge cases as well. We try to cover all the possible test cases and test it from there. So basically, there's like multiple test cases. Each of one of us will try to replicate the scenario in the test cases. And if it pass, we mark it pass. If it doesn't, we mark it not pass. And if it's critical, we sort it based on like critical or not critical, so that we know that whether this bug should be solved as soon as possible or not. And also steps to recreate the bugs, especially the weird bugs. With weird bugs, we want to know like what's the step to reproduce it. So yeah, that's basically the main testing strategy that we implemented for like our project. Uh, that's all from me. Thank you. I'll give it to the next person.
First, we build a collaborative and supportive team culture. During the integration of InfluxDB and Grafana, several members work together to troubleshoot connection issues between backend and frontend. This strengthened our teamwork and accelerated problem solving, especially during critical integration phases. Second, we practice effective meeting management. Before and after each campus meeting, we organize short planning and debrief discussions. This helps us communicate clearly, makes faster decisions, and keep everyone informed equally. Finally, we maintain consistent progress and accountability. Every week, we review the Jira board together to check completed stories and assign new ones. This consistency prevented last-minute rushes, balance the workload, and help us identify integration issues earlier. Of course, our process also has some weaknesses that we learn from. First, we face overlapping tasks between roles. Both backend and frontend members edited the same Grafana connection logic, leading to minor merge conflicts. We fix this by clarifying task ownership and syncing before editing shared modules. Second, we have a late start on user feedback collection. User testing only began in Sprint 4, so we didn't have much time to refine UI design. We scheduled short usability sessions after each sprint to collect earlier feedback. Lastly, our time estimation in early sprint was inaccurate. For example, the drag and drop data import feature took 2 sprints instead of 1. We plan to use historical sprint data to make better estimates. Lastly, our time estimation in early sprint was inaccurate. For example, the drag and drop data import feature took 2 sprints instead of 1. We plan to use historical sprint data to make better estimates and include buffer time for technical uncertainty. Overall, reflecting on our group project gave us valuable insight into both teamwork and project management. We believe that by carrying the lesson forward, our next project will be even more efficient and well coordinated.